but for science, sure.
And put our bodies on the line. We test the limits of the paranormal.
I said, play my game. I'm listening to a podcast.
We pop some pimples with an internet celebrity. This is science, man. See? We don't mess around. And bite into some very controversial science.
These potatoes that I see in the future will blow doors
No.
to the ones that
No.
grow.
No.
What a season.
No.
We've done our homework, and now it's time for facts.
We done our homework. It's insanity.
Alternative. Science Versus will be back in your ears on March 9th. Tell your friends. Tell your Uncle Gary.
I'm just curious, with your podcast, how does all this work?
Grab their phone from them and subscribe them to Science Versus. That's Science VX.
Oh, it's just a radio show. Okay. I'll have to do more of that then.
Back to you next time on March 9th.
Oh, look at the school of fishes.
The dolphins went right by them. They must not be hungry.
They felt bad interrupting them while they were at school.
I couldn't touch that.
I'm Wendy Zuckerman. You're listening to Science Versus from Gimlet.
I'm listening to someone breathing.
What am I looking at?
That's what I'm listening to.
Really? I think that's purple. Yeah, it's bloody good beds. Restricted area. No trespass. I'm not 20 meters from the wall. I can't even. Why am I so nervous? Because I'm in a restricted area. That's why I'm nervous. Okay, here it is. This is the wall. This is what it's about. This is the border between America and Mexico. I kicked the wall, just so you could hear it. The wall says made in the USA.
I'm at the border between the US and Mexico, about an hour's drive away from San Diego. And despite what you might hear in the news, and as you just heard, in this part of the border, there's already a wall. It's about 20 feet tall and is made of big metal posts and strong wire mesh. Within minutes of kicking it, Border Patrol arrived in a white SUV.
Oh! Hello, how are you? I was just looking for the Friendship Monument.
You're not allowed to actually come up to this fence, really.
Oh, okay. Fair.
A fence? Wall? Fence? I guess it's more of a length. And a recent Pew survey
Wentz.
found that about 40% of Americans want a longer length, one that runs the full length of the border with Mexico. The goal is to stop immigrants from crossing the border. Yes, immigration. We've been hearing about it a lot recently. President Donald Trump has raised many concerns over the last few months about the problems that he believes immigrants are causing America. At first, he was focused on undocumented immigrants, but now he's shifted to a wider group of foreigners. President Trump has signed executive orders that call for thousands more immigration enforcement agents and expands the pool of immigrants prioritized for deportation. And all sorts of concerns about immigrants have been dominating cable news.
Illegal alien criminals.
Taxpayers spend $17 billion for the American-born children of illegal aliens, known as anchor babies.
You're gonna pay, I'm gonna pay.
Social welfare type policies and programs. Victims, families who have lost people to violent illegal alien felons.
So on today's show,
275 is crazy.
because when it comes to immigrants, there's lots of opinions.
I don't feel like doing that though.
There's science. Science versus immigration is coming up right after the break. Welcome back to Science Versus, the show where we pit facts against foreigners. There are over 40 million people living in the US today who were born in other countries. Some came here legally, some didn't. But in total, they make up more than 1 in 8 people in the US population. So, what are all these people doing to the American economy and the crime rate? On today's show, we're going to dig into some of the statements that we've been hearing about immigrants. 1. are immigrants taking American jobs? 2. Are immigrants driving down wages? 3. By getting a free education and other services, are immigrants taking more from the government than they give? And 4. We're going to find out if immigrants drive up the crime rate. And just a quick note, before you go thinking that because of this accent I must love immigrants, here's a psych out. I'm actually a US citizen. That's right, I was born in California. The accent is fake. No, the accent's actually real. But I was born here, raised in Australia. Funnily enough, though, being born in the US is enough to...
W Australian people, dog. They're so nice.
Not only to Border Patrol, thankfully, but also to scientists.
Can I get a W? Can I get a W Australians in the comments down below?
You're born here, you're American.
I killed him for no reason.
That means when we say immigrant, we're talking about anyone who was born in another country and then came here. So that includes if you've been here for 2 years or 20 years. And a lot of talk in America is about undocumented versus documented immigrants. Unfortunately, much of the research doesn't make that distinction. So we'll tell you when we're talking about documented or undocumented. Otherwise, we're just talking about all immigrants. Okay, on with the show. So, if you want to find out, using science, how immigrants affect a nation, or a state, or a town, one way you can do that is to look at places that got rid of a whole lot of immigrants, and you can see what happened. Beginning in 2010, a bunch of US states started passing laws that made life hard for immigrants. The goal? To get undocumented people to pick up and leave. One of the strictest laws came from Alabama, and it was named Adios, Bad Hombres. No, of course it wasn't. It was called the Alabama Taxpayer and Citizen Protection Act. And when it came into effect, police were required to verify people's immigration status during routine stops. Schools needed to find out the immigration status of children and their parents, and Americans were prohibited from hiring, renting housing to, and even giving rides to undocumented immigrants. Since the law was passed, it has been weakened quite a bit by the courts. But still, it was strong enough to scare off quite a lot of immigrants. Now, nobody has collected specific data on how many people in total left the state after the law was passed. But estimates using census data and the Pew Research Center suggest that perhaps some 15,000 immigrants left. Another estimate out of the University of Alabama pegged the number at above 40,000. Let's be conservative and say thousands of immigrants left the state. Speaking of conservative, some politicians were excited about all of these people leaving. Here's Scott Beeson, who was then in Alabama.
Yeah, that's because some people are racist.
Not long after the law was passed.
It is doing what it is supposed to do. It is putting Alabamians back to work. It is putting Alabamians first, which is the way it should be. And it is saving taxpayers untold dollars.
But is it? What really happens when an economy is stripped of its outsiders, when thousands of immigrants pack up and leave? Do Americans get their jobs back? We're heading to Alabama to find out.
Welcome to local time here is about 12:47 Central Time.
From Birmingham Airport, I drove to the tiny agricultural town of Cullman with our producer Heather Rogers. We saw tractors, horses, and some cows.
Did you do something? Did you provoke the cow?
I didn't. They were provoking each other. It was like the best interview I've ever done. We were heading to meet farmer Jeremy Calvert, who for years has employed mostly immigrants on his fruit and veggie farm. Jeremy's crops grow in the rolling hills just outside of Cullman. His family has farmed here for 6 generations, and he loves it.
There's no smell like a load of strawberries. When the weather's been dry and the berries are producing good, but the only way I know that anybody can experience that is they got to be right there at that right exact time